Welcome to Lost All Caps. It's time to hunting party! Woo! Oh wait, hang on. Yippee! Oh, it's our last episode until we break for Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys!
Merry Christmas!
Woo! We got our party hats on, we got the poppers. No, but it's a serious one today though, guys.
We need to take this seriously.
We do. I'm Ariel.
And I'm Velvet.
And we had far too much fun planning that.
Welcome to Lost All Caps, Season 2, Episode 12?
Oh no. 11, I think.
12.
Isn't 23rd Psalm the 10th one?
It's episode 11 of the series, but we did an interview, so it's episode 12.
But it's episode 39 of the podcast.
Okay, right. This is Season 2, Episode 11, The Hunting Party.
Hunting party! Every time we say, fuck. Oh, no, but it's a serious one today though, guys.
It's a weird one today.
It's a weird one.
It's like, at the same time, I feel like this episode is like entirely exposition and also really intense, you know?
Yeah. It kind of nothing happens, but everything happens.
Yeah, it's like also like, I remember the first time watching it, the end of this episode is such a gag, but like watching it this time around, I was like, who give a shit, you know?
No, but it is a gag though.
But it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Before we get into it, let's just very quickly say, Merry Christmas. I hope everyone is having a lovely festive season so far. Obviously, this is going to be our last one before we break for Christmas.
Yes.
Ourselves.
Are you having a good Christmas? Are you excited?
Certainly am.
Have you been good this year?
Certainly haven't. I was trying to come up with a Lost reference, but it wasn't happening.
No, I was thinking it'd be really funny if
the guy with the beard.
Santa.
He could be Santa. That's a theory.
That's a theory that I would be shocked if it wasn't out there. Like this is like some kind of Santa's Workshop situation, like Dharma Initiative, Santa's Workshop.
Could be.
That'd be hilarious. Can you imagine if Desmond was a Christmas elf? Well, I'm very excited for Christmas. I love Christmas. I've been listening to my playlist. I've been, gearing up, watching the Christmas films. Although I have to say, it's a shame. But the older you get, the more a lot of Christmas films become kind of cringe.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it. I hate to be a Scrooge, because, I do love Christmas. I love Christmas. But it's like, I rewatched The Nativity recently, and I was like, Mr. Poppy shouldn't be allowed around children.
No.
And it just really loses its charm when you get older and you're like, why was he let into the school, know?
Yeah.
Like,
many a question about Nativity.
I can only, the performance section is brilliant. And I still stand by that's one of the most fun things to, watch at Christmas, the actual show they do. But the rest of the film I kind of can't watch anymore, because the whole time I'm just thinking about how it's all a safeguarding issue. I think also because I've worked in a school now and I know how much of, how many hoops you have to jump through to, prove that you're not criminal and stuff, that I'm like...
Well, presumably he's not criminal then. How does he get hired? I don't remember the film.
The headmistress is his aunt.
Okay.
And she hires him as a teaching assistant because he doesn't have a job.
I see.
Because he
Nepo baby.
behaves the way he does, so no one hires him. And I'm like, no, Martin Freeman is so in the right for everything he does in that show, in that film.
True for most of Martin Freeman's characters, I'd say.
Real, actually.
He often just plays the guy who...
is just kind of...
the voice of reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the same, I watch Sherlock and I'm like, yeah, I'd be pissed off with him too.
He's annoying.
He's really annoying. I'm like, I would have moved out immediately. Mm-hmm. But then also Watson is also really annoying.
Watson's massively annoying.
Watson's almost worse.
So yeah, a few pieces of Lost related news actually. It's been my birthday and I am now 23 years old. A clear and direct reference to the hit television show Lost. I had a Lost-themed birthday party, which was very fun, and you will be seeing the highlights very soon. Also, friend of the show, Ben Stead, he attended the party, and I think since then we've managed to convince him to get back on the Lost train.
Yeah.
He's back on it.
We watched the pilot episodes as part, like the end of the party, like when we were winding down, we sat and watched the first 2 episodes, and he was like, am I actually watching it?
Yeah. And if you'll know if you've listened to his episode, basically he watched series 1 kind of when it was being aired in the UK.
I think like as well, like I don't think he'd watched all of it.
Yeah, I think something like that, but he never went further than that. And so, yeah, we watched the pilot again, and then later in the week or something, he came round to the house and we watched the first few episodes of series 2. And he's been texting us like, when are we gonna watch Lost again? When are we gonna? And I'm like, yes. I'm like the sickos thing. I'm like, ha 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 ha, yes.
We've got another
one. We've got him.
This episode. It's weird. It's a
weird one.
It's really weird.
But let's talk about the exciting things. So the most exciting thing about this episode for me, the biggest kind of...
Jack's taking his wig off.
Jack has no... Girl, these are becoming Chekhov's party poppers, honestly.
You put them in front of me and now all I want to do is let them off.
So, Jack is now sans wig. Exciting news.
Yay!
But it's because we're post-wedding now, right?
Yeah.
He's sans wig for the wedding, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think it's an indicator in that first scene that we're way back, like, where we are now. I think this is apart from... It's like we're in between wedding and Jack gets his dad fired.
Yes. Because Christian is still chief of surgery.
Because he's still working at the
Lest
hospital.
you forget.
Lest you forget.
I'm still chief of surgery. I'm sorry.
That one's not a celebration. We don't like it.
It's not. That's a sad one. Yeah. Christian's insane in this episode.
We'll get to that. No, but the real exciting
so it's got quite a good kind of cliffhanger towards the end, right? We get the final kind of like, it's been building up to the standoff between the others and the survivors. But I think the biggest, most exciting thing for me is Alex is alive.
Bring her out, Alex!
Bring her out, Alex!
This is crazy.
Yes.
Because also, you don't immediately notice, you know?
Oh, I did.
Like, I think when I watched it, it was like, we know at this point, we've had, like, some emphasis on names, because I think Jack, it was, that said, like, how do you know what our names are, or something. And it said, we don't know what this guy's name is, but we know about Ethan, and we know about Goodwin. So I was like, okay, maybe it's just, you know... another guy. Person. And then I was like, Alex, why do I know? And then I was like,
oh. No, I realised instantly, maybe because I'm such a Rousseau head, but as soon as he said, bring her out, Alex, I was like, I gasped. I was like, oh my God, Alex is alive. And Alex is with the others, which means there's a chance that Rousseau will be able to reunite with them.
And it's like... This is great, because it's like, you look at the perspective of Michael from this episode, it feels like such a brilliant full circle moment to have, like, Michael, who you can see slowly, like, not going crazy, but he's not being so reasonable as before. And they said, like, you know, he knocked John out and he locked them away, and they were like, he's going insane, like losing his son. And it's like, almost this is the beginning, you know? This is how it started for Danielle.
Yeah.
And can you imagine if they'd teamed up? Can you imagine if after all this time, Michael actually has gone to find Danielle and be like, let's get our kids back?
That would be so cool.
How crazy would that be? Because there's all these parallels drawn between Claire and Danielle because they gave birth on the island.
Yeah.
But Michael and Danielle are the real parallels.
That's true. Although Claire's baby does also get kidnapped, don't forget.
By Danielle.
By Danielle, yes, by Danielle. Irrelevant. Yeah, that would have been great. Although I think, you know, it's reasonable for us to say, like, obviously in the show, like, Jack and John are being like, why is he going north? What does that mean? I think we know where he's going. Walter's given him the instructions.
Yeah.
which is further interesting information because
Walt knows where he is.
Walt knows where he is in relation to the camp, and the group of others that attacked the tail section are not necessarily the group of others that kidnapped Walt. They're in different geographical locations.
Yes. But they can move.
They can move, sure.
What I think it seems is that we've come across where they live.
Yes, the line.
The line. So Walt has been taken to where they live, wherever that is. And that's how he's been able to give Michael directions to it. And I think what I kind of understood it as is like they've been sending people out to the camps to kidnap people and bring them back to this place, north.
That would make sense.
line.
That would make sense. But then I guess it begs the question, how are they able to reach the tail section so quickly? Like, Goodwin must have been able to move between the tail section and the camp fairly easily, because how else was he communicating all that information to them?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how... We didn't see Ethan until quite late into the crash, but we don't know how long he was there, like how he could have, because there's more of them, he could have maybe, subtly arrived like 2 days in
and blended
and just
in.
like pretended he hadn't spoken to
Because they
anyone
don't have, high IQ detective, observant Miss Diva and Lucia there
Exactly.
to notice that Goodwin wasn't wet at the minute of the crash.
Yeah, like he was there as soon as it happened. So it must be pretty close, but it was far away from like the Arrow station
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of trying to map it out a little bit in our heads, aren't we? The geography of the island is very hard.
It's very confusing, it doesn't get any less confusing,
No.
and I've seen maps of the island
Alleged maps of the island.
that people have drawn, and I'm like, completely incorrect,
Yeah. Because I think that's kind of the point, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're not supposed to know where everything is on the island.
Yeah, so Alex is alive.
And
That was really bad, sorry.
And this monologue is quite iconic, isn't it,
Oh yeah.
It's one that gets quoted a lot.
It's not like repeated in the same way as like Run, Hide or Die or like they've attacked us, kidnapped us, murdered. Like this one doesn't get flashed back to as much.
No.
But I think it should.
And I think it's possibly more iconic in the real world rather than like previously on Lost iconic. But yeah, this is our island. This is not your... That's how it starts. This is not your island. This is our island. And the only reason you're living on it is because we let you live on it.
And that's crazy as well, because it's like we've gotten to this point where there's an understanding of like the survivors have like beat the others. Like they've killed Ethan and they've killed Goodwin, they've stopped being kidnapped. But now it's like it's just because they're letting them. It's like
they have the upper hand.
Ethan was the sacrifice the island demanded.
Oh! From their perspective.
Yeah, I think
like
so.
That. I like that.
And I think like it seems like...
And also we now know there's loads of them.
Yeah.
So it's not like, we didn't really know before, but now we saw all those torches go up. There must be,
Can you
dozens.
imagine if some of those people were tail section survivors?
What if Cindy was there?
What if Cindy was there? And she was like, oh my god, Jack. The guy who can't flirt, he's here.
He's here.
He's in charge now? Oof. Cindy
As
got,
soon as Kate
Cindy
gets brought...
gossiping with Alex, she's like this bitch over here.
Yeah. When Kate gets brought out, she's like, oh, I better know the history there.
Yeah. She's like, oh my god, the fugitive.
Where's her juice?
Where's her juice? What happened to the marshal? Like, I bet she's so curious.
This is why Cindy should have met the front section. It would have been,
so
good.
The Cindy and Jack reuniting that we never got,
And she interacted with Charlie. She interacted with probably everybody.
Probably all of them. I mean, she said, didn't she, that she's good at remembering the faces of all the passengers. She's probably spoken to, like, all of them. Yeah. She was there. She was probably one of the people who was involved in helping John onto the plane.
Yeah.
She'd be like, holy fuck, you can walk. And he'd be like, ba 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 ba.
Yeah. And, like, when Jimmer, our bestie Jimmer, rings up to see if Hurley can get on, maybe she was ringing Cindy.
Yeah.
So, like, it would have just been, and obviously she'd been aware of Claire, she would have been aware of Vincent, I'd think, as well.
because you have to get, like, paperwork and stuff to get a dog on a plane.
Yeah, man, the coffin, probably.
I know, it would have been so interesting, and I think, like, obviously when they came up with the tail section, obviously they sat down and were like, who would be interesting to introduce now? And, like, obviously Bernard was probably, like, a no-brainer. They were like, he's got to be there.
Yeah.
But, like, all the others, they've obviously gone, well, what about... I mean, I don't know if they were planning on introducing Echo from when they brought in the plane initially.
Who knows?
Potentially. But, like, obviously they've gone, wouldn't a flight attendant be so interesting? And then they just fucking got rid of her. And I still don't understand it.
Oh, it's so annoying because it's like, it seems like, from their point of view, the only reason she's there is so that the tail section know that the plane got turned around. Right, because they have to get that information.
Yeah, because they don't have the pilot.
Yeah. But she is a really interesting character.
Yeah.
Not only from, like, her situation as being the flight attendant, but also her personality.
Yeah, she's a really fun person.
Yeah.
She comes across really well. There's obviously not enough Australians. There's,
Obviously.
and also the idea of, like, them all being on the plane because they had this big personal journey that landed them in LA, but she was just doing it because it was, like, her shift, is so interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
then
also,
what
like,
if there was a great thing in her backstory that meant that she was meant to be brought to the island?
maybe she'd swapped the shift with someone else so she could go to LA. Like,
yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, that would have been great. There's like a whole theory, isn't there? Like, I remember reading on the Lostpedia that there's like some random theory, I don't know where it's come from, that she is like, was dating the guy who got sucked into the engine.
What?
Gary Troop.
Gary Troop.
Yeah.
Who's got a bunch of lore made up for him.
Yeah. Gary Troop, he writes like a... I don't think it's been in it yet, has it?
No.
So this is a slight spoiler, but it really doesn't matter.
He's got a manuscript, basically.
Sawyer's reading and he's run out of actual books to read, so he finds an unpublished manuscript in one of the suitcases, and it's a book written by this man named Gary Troop.
It's called Bad Twin, and it's like a shit murder mystery.
Apparently that Gary Troop is the guy who gets sucked into the engine on the first day, you know, when Jack's like, move away, and the explosion. And then apparently he was also dating Cindy.
He's got, like, loads of lore, because also there's, like, they published Bad Twin as a book.
Did they?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of information about the story online. And I think there's an about the author section or something.
Mm.
It was just them sort of having fun at that point, really.
But why not have fun with Cindy when you could have had fun with her in the show?
I know. I think there's something to be said in terms of the significance of Cindy as the flight attendant in Zach and Emma, also, because it's like that, like, parents pass their kids off to, like, the flight attendant. It's like, well, the flight attendant is going to look after you until you get back to your mum.
Absolutely, that's significant.
And now, you know, they got taken and then Cindy also got taken. It's like,
Yeah.
well, is she, you know?
But wouldn't it have been nice to have Anna Lucia be the one who takes care of the kids? Because
Yes.
she lost her child.
I know. So much better. Why has Anna Lucia not met Claire yet?
That is such a good question.
Why
has she not been holding baby Aaron and weeping?
For a show that is so obsessed with, like, pregnancy and, like, women, reducing women down to, like, having kids and husbands, they really don't push it with Anna Lucia in a way that they could.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely, because I think it's an interesting facet of her character that she really wanted to be a mother.
Yeah. Because she's the kind of character you would think that wouldn't want to have
Yeah,
children.
because she's very sort of, like, tough, you know, and stern.
And she clearly has
like,
a not great relationship with her own mother.
Yes, exactly. And she's also a bit of a lone wolf, right? You know, she's not really tied down in any kind of respect.
But it's like we have this history where she had, like, a partner and a baby and they were planning for their future, and then it all fell apart because she got shot, and it's like, well, maybe she didn't used to be so closed off.
Yeah. And like, you know, obviously that's still very fresh for her because she's still thinking about it when she's on the island.
Yeah, and we don't know how long ago it was.
No, but like, then to be in a position where I guess she does take responsibility more for the group, right? Maybe she's kind of mother of the group in a way. But like, there's quite a literal, like, children who need taking care of.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe it's a tragedy that she isn't able to do that and she isn't able to protect them.
But, like, push that a little bit more. You know,
Yeah.
make that the theme.
Yeah.
Make it about the fact. And I know, like, she's very obsessed with asking, like, the others, you know, where are the kids? What happened to the kids? But, like, yeah, there's a baby right there that was born on the island. And, like, also the idea of, like, because when the tail section joins the front section, there's this great, like, you guys have been living, like, amazingly. Like, there's this idea that, like, we've been seeing them doing all this struggle, and then the tail section show up and they're like, you guys are having a great time, you know? And I think the idea of that, like, she was able to safely give birth and have her baby on the island and everyone's like, sport, like, that's something that should be, like, huge for Lucia.
Yeah. But instead she's just, like, on the outskirts talking to the dog.
I mean, that was cute.
I mean, I guess she's the only one who's kind of had a bit of animosity with Vincent. Everyone loves Vincent, but she's like, get away from me. Go away, I
Don't
want
eat
food.
my mango. I mean, she's got a point. Dogs probably shouldn't eat mango.
Probably not. So do you want to talk about that final scene whilst we're here? Since we talk about Anna Lucia.
Yeah, alright, because I've got a lot
10 seconds that she's in the episode.
I love Anna Lucia and I will talk about her at literally every opportunity.
Yeah.
First of all, the implication that Saeed has been chatting with Jack about Anna Lucia. I just quite like that, because obviously he's come out of that, like, interaction about Shannon, and he's then been like, she's a cop. Jack should know that, you know? He's not like, yeah, I think that's quite fun.
Yeah. Well, Saeed's in a very weird place at the minute, which we'll get to.
We'll get to that.
His scene in this episode, what the fuck?
So funny.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting as well because, so Jack says, is it true you killed one of them? Saeed told me you used to be a cop, right? And I'm like, two things. One, she's killed more than one. And two, Charlie's also killed one, in front of Jack. And, like, they made this whole plan to capture Ethan. And I know they didn't plan to kill him, but, like, I was a bit like...
But Charlie didn't dig a pit.
No. I mean, sure, Anna Lucia's got tactics, but, like, I understand the need to go to her for tactical information, but still, I don't know, it seemed a bit like, you killed one of them? Teach me your ways. And it's like, what are you talking about? Do you know what I mean?
We will kill one of the others, mate. Obviously, this episode has a lot going on with Jack and Kate and Sawyer. In the sense of, like, the love triangle has kind of come to a point.
Come to 3 points.
Come to 3 points. It's come to
a
a
joke.
sort of...
That was a little
It's
joke
reached
for
a bit
you.
of a point of no return.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, Jack is obviously upset with Kate, and he's mad at Sawyer, and Sawyer doesn't really know why. Sawyer obviously doesn't remember speaking in his sleep. So he's very confused on why everyone's upset. And, like, all of that. And there's more to say about that we'll get into in a bit, I'm sure. And I think the way that this last scene is set up in a bit of a weird way, and that, like, Jack, like, fucks off, and then Sawyer, like, says something to Kate, in case, like, you're not helping.
Oh, yeah, he says, like, I would have done the same thing. Like, if Jack had told me to stay behind, I would have done the same thing. And I'm like, that's the last thing Kate needs to hear right now, because she's trying to... Her whole narrative in... Like, the reason it's so awkward between Jack and Kate is because she, like, freaked out when she saw the horse, kissed him, and then ran away, and was acting all, like, you know, like a kind of old, like, criminal self, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's...
Running away from her feelings.
That side of her is the side that's drawn to Sawyer, right?
Yeah.
And, like, she's kind of like, she wants to be, like, the good girl, in inverted commas, I guess, and go for the nice guy, in inverted commas.
Yeah, and
Jack.
she wants to be like, she wants to feel like she's good enough for him, I think, because she has an idea of him, which very heavily links into what's happening in the backstory in this episode, of, like, this idea of Jack as someone who's, like, perfect and can perform miracles and can save everyone.
That's a really good point that I'd not considered.
Which is very much not his reality.
Kate's view of Jack is closer to Gabriella's view of Jack.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Because, yeah, it's like, Kate, you could do so much better than Jack. And Sawyer.
Like, I think...
Sack them both off. Claire! Didn't work.
Go to Claire!
Go to Claire.
Lesbians! But the thing is, I think Kate is putting a barrier in her own way for that relationship to happen, because she thinks that she's not good enough for Jack. which is bullshit on many levels.
Yeah.
Not least of all in the sense that no one has to be good enough for anyone.
Yeah. But that's part of her own perception of herself.
It's about her perception of herself as a criminal, and it's this thing that, like, the Marshal has drilled into her over all these years, and, like, obviously Tom's death has drilled it into her, and her mum, and, like, all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Whereas Jack is now, like, the cycle is repeating for him in the sense of, like, he doesn't want to become like his father, so he has a real thing about, like, relationships and relationships being perfect and, like, cheating on partners and stuff. And obviously that comes up a lot in the backstory again with him and Gabriella, but also with Sarah and her, like, new guy, whoever we don't know anything about him. And so then that...
Well, you're assuming guy.
I'm assuming
Sarah
guy.
could be a lesbian, secret lesbian.
I'm assuming guy. That's a good point. I'm sorry, Sarah. And, like... So then I think the way he's perceiving the relationship is that she is, like, going in between him and Sawyer, or that her and Sawyer are, like, in love and he's the other woman.
Yeah.
And, like, so he's got this really fucked up perception of the relationship.
Yeah.
Then layer that on the fact that, like, Sawyer has just confessed his love in his sleep and doesn't remember saying it.
Yeah.
That then has put this whole spanner in the works so Sawyer doesn't even know why that's a problem.
Yeah.
And also, like, him trying to say to Kate, like, that's, you know, I would have done the same thing. It's like, also that's not helping because it's like, that's not what it's about. It's not about the fact that she went after him. It's about everything else. It's about the reason why he told her to stay and, like, all the whole thing. So, like, that is a whole thing. And then to bring Ana Lucia in immediately off the back of that, I just think is really interesting for the dynamic in, like, Jack and Ana Lucia as parallels, but also as potential love interests for each other. Because it's like Jack and Ana Lucia are obviously very similar characters, but also very different in a way that I've talked about a lot with, oh my god, what's it called? Collision. Why is it called that? Sorry, we discussed that. That then, like, I think bringing them in, and it's like you think it's going to be a bit of a, like, not necessarily romantic scene, but a bit of a, like, maybe, like, Jack is, like, moving on or whatever, or he's going to Ana Lucia as some kind of, like, to make himself feel better or something. Like,
hey.
A bit of a, like, hey, how are you doing? I'm really pissed off at Kate right now, or like, whatever. And then it's like, actually what he pulls out is, let's start an army. It's like completely left field. And also it's such an aggressive thing to come from Jack.
Yeah.
Who we've known as this, like, not like peacemaker, but more of a, like, you know, heal and, like...
Absolutely.
Get your strength from that and, like, live together and whatever. And now he's like, let's all learn to shoot. Which is more of, like, a John perspective to have. I just think it's really... interesting from the perspective of, like, characterization of Jack also. And also that Ana Lucia is kind of like, sure.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think this episode marks a kind of turning point for Jack.
100%. And it's like, you look at the way Jack is in the later seasons versus how he is at the beginning, and I think this moment is a major, like, pivotal moment for how he develops as a character. Carry on, I feel like I interrupted you.
No, I thought we were both thinking, should we do it? Is it the right moment?
Yeah, we were, but yeah, I think we shouldn't.
No. Should we blow the party blower? Maybe we shouldn't.
Maybe we were supposed to. Yeah, and I just think it's a really interesting thing to introduce. Is like, it seems like they're moving away from Ana Lucia as being part of the love square and more of Ana Lucia just as a character on her own, which I really enjoy. And, like, bringing in Saeed to that conversation also is really interesting because obviously Ana Lucia and Saeed's dynamic is really interesting.
Yeah.
And Saeed, in terms of dynamic between, like, Jack, Kate and Sawyer and, like, John as, like, the main characters is really interesting in that Saeed has, like, absolutely no involvement in any of that.
In this episode.
In the love triangle
In the love
stuff.
Triangle stuff.
Because even John, like, comments on it all the time, you know?
Yeah. John's just getting involved. I think John likes the drama.
You know that Tumblr post that's like, why can't I get involved in a couple's argument? That
really
shouldn't just be for dates, so I should be able to get involved in the couple's argument. John likes to tell me the tea.
Yeah. He's a bit of a shit stirrer.
He's massively a shit stirrer.
Yeah, he likes the drama.
All the time.
This episode, what was he on about? He was like, what was the thing that you went,
oh, when he was talking about, Michael knows where he's going, and then he went, where are you going, Jack? And I was like, oh my god. Not now.
Oh. John's a bit odd in this episode, isn't he?
John...
I wrote down, why bring up the James thing now?
Now is not the time.
That felt so rogue to me. It felt like they were like, oh, this episode's running a bit short. Let's shove in a weird scene.
What's the point of John in this episode?
Where, like, he goes, hey, why did you pick the name Sawyer? And then it goes nowhere.
Because also, genuinely, what is the point of John being there?
Yeah.
Like, Kate wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
Kate can track just as well as John can.
Mm-hmm.
Jack wants to go. Sawyer wants to go. John wants someone to stay and be in charge of the button. Why does John not just stay? And I know it's so that we can have the whole kidnapping thing and the bring her out Alex and all of that, but it's like, there is really no need for John to be part of it.
I mean, I guess it's because... Well, I guess there's the fact that Michael knocked him unconscious, so there's a bit of a personal involvement there. And also, he was the one who taught Michael how to shoot. He kind of knew that Michael was going to go off, didn't he? So maybe he feels some kind of responsibility.
But if he knew Michael was going to go off, like, surely the John that I... He wouldn't fucking say that, but, like, the John that I know...
I thought you hated John.
The John... This isn't you. The John that would be, like, he was talking to Michael, was it last episode, where he was being like, I would say running off on your own is a bad idea. Anyway, let's keep shooting things.
Yeah.
Like, he would just let him go, I feel like.
That's kind of what I was going to say. I think John is going to kind of prevent Jack and Sawyer from going in all guns blazing and doing something stupid.
Okay, that's a good point. Because actually, yeah, I mean, if John and Kate and Sawyer had just gone, that would have ended so badly.
So badly, right?
They wouldn't have made it to the line. They would have spent the whole time arguing with each other.
Yeah. They probably would have just been taken out. Do you know what I mean? Like, that warning shot that gets, Sawyer gets sniped, that would have just bang.
Others would have just got so sick of their drama, they would have been like, you know what, we're just taking you all out. Let Lucia be in charge again. Mm-hmm. She was fun. They miss her. They're like, where's my girl?
Like, finally, a worthy opponent.
Yeah!
That's Anna Lucia.
That was good win.
Yeah, completely. Because when Jack's like, I don't believe you, he's like, oh, this guy. I really do find Jack funny in that scene, because I'm like, Jack, he's trying so hard to have, like, the negotiating upper hand and be, like, intimidating, but it's just not working, babe. I'm so sorry.
Desperate to be the intimidating one and to, like, not just immediately give them what they want, but it's like, you're so low, you do not have the high ground here.
Yeah.
You're on the low, you're on the basement ground, like, you're... Just let them do what they want at this point. Like, me personally, if I'd been at that, like, encounter, I would have been like, nah, I'm just gonna leave them alone.
Yeah, well, they have to in the end, don't they? Because they've got Kate, and they won't let her go.
They've got Kate, I'd be like, you know what?
But what do you think, if Kate wasn't part of the equation, how do you think it would have gone?
I think Jack would have carried on trying to be like,
give us Michael.
Give Michael back, give Walt back. I think eventually either one of them would have gotten hurt, or like John would have just been like, can you shut the fuck up and let's just go. Without Kate, I think Sawyer also probably would have gone for the guy with the beard, because it's like he shot Sawyer. He also, like, Sawyer watched him take Walt.
Well, he says we've got unfinished business, basically, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think he probably would have, like, Jack would have kept getting angry, and then Sawyer would have kept getting angry, and then Sawyer would have launched at the guy with the beard, and then he probably would have gotten shot, and then John would be like, take me instead, and then they would have walked by, it would just be like Jack coming back being like, yeah, that's a bad mission, guys. Didn't go well.
Yeah. He'd be getting, like, rank D, on the final loading screen. It wouldn't be... He'd be like, oh, should I redo it? Oh, I kind of can't be bothered.
Oh, I'll be fine without John.
And then later on you get to a checkpoint and it's like, fuck!
I need John, oh my god. Yeah. And then you have to go through a whole side quest to get John back from the others.
Yeah. Over here, in the banyan trees.
Over here, son, in the banyan trees. You know what I mean?
There was a moment today, wasn't there? Over here,
Over
in
here.
the armory! But something really interesting about that conversation, not only bring her out, Alex, and this is our island, the only reason you're living on it is because we let you live on it. A couple of interesting things I wanted to flag from this thing. So he says that, Jack says that they've been there 50 days. Worth mentioning, worth
Interesting to
remembering.
keep track of the timeline.
He says, Walt's fine, he's a very special boy.
Special.
Now, this might be the first time within the show that Walt has actually been referred to as special. Of course,
I think Brian did.
No, because we said that in the episode. It's called special, but he's never called special.
Oh no, Brian calls him like a weird freak or something.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
something a bit more derogatory. Which is really interesting when you think about, like, the other's perception and, like, why do they view Walt in that way? How much do they know about his powers?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do they know that he was appearing to Shannon? Presumably not, right? Do they know that he has access to the computer? Presumably not, right? But do they know that he's special?
Because also, like, what happened to Michael in this equation?
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't know the others, like, do they say anything about Michael?
They say Michael's not going to find us.
Yeah.
So presumably they don't have Michael.
So it's
Michael
like...
hasn't found him. He's just going in circles in the forest or something.
Or, like, is Walt appearing to Michael, you know?
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Is, like, have they got Michael and they're lying to, like, Jack? You know? If they've got Michael, then presumably they know Walt had access to the computer, because how else did Michael know where to find them? Like, there's a lot going on.
It's a trap!
Was it a trap? Was it even Walt on the computer in the first place?
Oh my god!
What if it was this fucker with the big beard?
Oh my god, that would be awful, wouldn't it?
Turn to Alex going, how do kids talk? Does that sound like a 10-year-old?
That would be just terrible. Oh gosh. Because that's what Michael is clinging on to.
What if that's not even where they live? What if that's just where they led Michael? You know?
The line.
The line.
To the line. Oh, so much to think about.
I find the house metaphor very interesting.
Yes, so this is the other thing I was going to talk about. First of all, absolutely eats in this speech.
Incredible.
I do really love this speech, and I like the way he's like,
I love this guy.
I like the musical
He's so
score.
evil. He's almost like, he feels a bit like a return of, like, the Marshall figure in, like, his cadence and his delivery and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, when the Marshall was, like, going on and on in the airport about Kate, and then she, like, smacks him against the wall. Feels very similar
There's
to what
something
he does
of that,
here,
and
right?
also Ethan post-evil reveal.
Yeah.
You know, when he's like, I'll kill you last and stuff. Yeah, it's something of a return to that, which is quite exciting. Because even when Goodwin's revealed, he still is quite
calm and, like, collected.
Yeah.
He never goes full, like, Feathers McGraw mode.
So this metaphor, really interesting, and I really like the way that the musical score kind of comes in when he goes, do you take off your shoes? And then suddenly it starts to get really sinister, and it's like, oh, wait, no, I kind of see it from his perspective now.
Absolutely. When he says that, you're suddenly like, oh my god, yeah. Like,
And
it
also,
is their
I
island.
understand what he's getting at. It's like, this is our house. You are not welcome here.
Yeah.
That's a very scary thing for our
And,
characters.
It kind of brings in this idea as well that they are there by accident. You know? We've had this narrative painted so far of, like, the island brought them there for a reason, but obviously for the others, they don't want them there.
No.
They're like, they are unwelcome visitors. So either it's that the island has a separate authority to the others, or it's that actually they are there completely by accident, and
this is all just
the others
like,
are trying to get rid of them.
you know, perception and like pattern finding and stuff.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So the others' relationship to the island is interesting.
Because they say it's our island, but we've seen that the island seems to have its own
I mean,
power.
what do they think of the smoke monster? Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, but I'm interested in the relationship between the others and Dharma, because we were like, how much do they know about Dharma? Because Goodwin seemed kind of surprised when they found the Arrow Station, right? And so it's like, is he putting that on, or did he already know about it, or did some of the others know but Goodwin didn't, and whatever. But he says, when he's going, do you take off your shoes, blah, 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 he says, do you open doors to rooms that you're not supposed to go in, or something like that?
Yeah.
And he looks right at John when he says that, and John's like, who, me? And I'm like, so obviously that's referencing the hatch, right? Opening the hatch. But then it's like, okay, the others know about the hatch. Do they only know about it post-explosion? Because there was a huge explosion and they're like, what the fuck was that? We better go check it out. They were on the boat at the time, so who knows? But it's like, did they already know about the hatch? And did they build the hatch? Are the others Dharma? Did they put Desmond down there? Did they know Desmond was down there, locked in, thinking that the whole world was destroyed and everyone was sick, and not get him out?
It's really interesting. Also, I think it sounds really stupid, but something that I think is really interesting about the house metaphor is that the others have been painted as these like sort of wild, like they don't wear shoes, they live in the woods, but it's like he knows what a house is. Which sounds kind of dumb, but it's like, it means that like they know about like houses and an understanding of like etiquette and manners and like normal, quote unquote, normal life, which I do think is a kind of interesting detail.
I agree, and also something to consider as well. We hear him talk for a bit longer than he did before. You can hear his accent a bit more. It sounds to me like he has like a Southern American accent.
Yeah.
Right? So that's interesting. How's he managed to get that
accent?
He's got
a regional accent,
if
not just like
an island native. Maybe he's not. Maybe he used to live in America and then moved to the island.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan said he was from Canada, right?
Yeah. He sounded like he had a bit of a Canadian accent. I mean, it's hard to tell.
Goodwin just had a kind of generic American. Mm-hmm. So that kind of thing, I could be like, well, that's feasible. Because I know they're not going to invent some kind of island accent that they're going to make them all learn.
So, a couple random things to mention about this sort of main plot line in this episode. I feel like we've kind of covered most of it, right? Like, in a weird way, I think the kind of main plot line is not the most interesting part of this episode. I don't know, like, I'm not massively invested in the love triangle personally, do you know what I mean?
No, like, I sort of am, but I'm sort of not. I think, like, the thing is, like, at risk of, you know, I don't want to be like, it only gets worse from here on out. But, like, I think the thing about things like love triangles in, or, like, setting up a slow burn romance in TV shows is that it's, like, you have this, like, teasing of, like, it might happen. And then once it does happen, you have to either fully commit to it, or it's really unsatisfying, you know?
And so you're saying it has happened now that Jack and Kate have kissed?
I think now Jack and Kate have kissed, it's like we've crossed the line.
And now we've gone from misunderstanding to something else. / neg.
And it's like we've crossed a line into like the characters acknowledging that the love triangle is happening, which means dodgy territory. Writing-wise, yeah. Like, characterization-wise. And with how much story we're wrangling with the minute, it's really difficult that now that is, like, a huge prominent part of, like, every character dynamic. Because obviously it's what Jack is upset about. And it's like, when you look at it from Jack's perspective, I'm like, yeah, I'd be so pissed off with her.
Especially with the context that we get via the flashbacks in this episode as well.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Jack is totally, like, I completely understand his behaviour in this episode, which is rare.
Yeah, like, actually, I think Jack is completely maybe not completely justified, but, like, a lot of what he does when you look at it in the context of, like, his past makes a lot of sense. And I think with this episode, very much more so than the wedding episode.
Don't talk to me about that one.
Because that one, you're kind of like, what's this all about?
Yeah.
But this, it feels like it kind of brings that home. Because in the wedding episode, you get this idea of, like, Sarah in her wedding speech saying, like, you fixed me. And then you're like, oh, okay, Jack's got a complex.
Yeah.
And then in this one, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jack's got a complex.
And she's like, you will always need to have something to fix.
Yeah. And not only that, but the fact that, like, Gabriella has, like, brought her dad across the country to this hospital.
Across the world.
Because of Jack.
Yeah.
Because of this story about fixing Sarah. Desmond, what have you started? Is all I'm gonna say.
Real. This is all Desmond's
It's all Desmond's fault. Desmond's the one who performed the fucking miracle.
Yeah. And
I truly think that's low-key the narrative we're given. Of, like, Desmond is the magic one and Jack is kind of, like, along for the ride.
just dealing with the fallout of
Yeah.
being, like, adjacent to a miracle.
and
it's
suddenly
like,
he's the one who did it.
yeah.
And it's like, I think it's so interesting that, like, Jack never seems to actually believe that he's capable of performing miracles.
Well, that's all because of his daddy issues, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because his dad is forever saying to him, like, you're not good enough, you don't have what it takes.
It's more so that he thinks if only he works hard enough,
Yeah.
eventually he will fix it.
Mm.
Which is a whole other kettle of fish. You know, if it was like him being like, yeah, I can do medical miracles, and then the guy dies and then he gets really upset, like, that would be a totally different story. But this is like, I think that's really interesting that even when he is like a really incredible surgeon and he is like, you know, clearly got a reputation and like as like someone who can do incredible things, that he still has this like no ego about it, you know? Negative self-esteem from Jack Shepherd, you know?
Yeah, I think I see what you're getting at, yeah.
All because of the way that his dad, like,
Yeah.
speaks to him.
But also because he's the man of science as well, so he
Yeah.
can't, on some level he just can't believe in miracles because it's unscientific.
Yeah. And, like, the way that his life is, it's just so... It makes me sad, kind of, this episode.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad one.
Because it's like, that last scene... Because that last scene actually is really quite heartbreaking, like, for Jack.
The divorce scene.
The divorce scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I think Jack... You really see in that moment that Jack's worst fear is becoming his dad. Right?
Ooh.
To me, at least.
Elaborate on that.
So, throughout this, like, episode, Jack and Christian are... Obviously, they're always compared to one another. Directly by Christian.
Literally don't talk to me about Christian Shepherd. What the hell was he on about when he was like, careful? And then he said something and Jack was like, oh, you would know. And he's like, some people can handle it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
like
I'm
this-
allowed to have affairs, not you though.
This is the thing, this is what I'm going to say, like, it's a big, you don't have what it takes, brackets, to cheat on your wife.
Like, what?
But it's like, that is obviously something that Christian has absolutely no qualms about. You know?
What about cheating on his wife?
About cheating on his wife.
That's interesting. I mean, I think this is the first hint that we get that he has cheated on his wife.
I mean, I wouldn't say if he historically runs away and disappears for like days on end and gets drunk
Yeah.
and stuff, and like I would flirt, like I would assume.
But I mean, it could just be alcoholism.
It could, but also he sucks, so like
He does suck. Like, it's not surprising, but I do think it's like, and it's also interesting that he's saying all of this to his son. Like,
This is the
ultimately,
thing.
that's his mum that you're talking about.
That's
Like,
what I
it's
was
your
going to say,
family.
is I think the fact that he can look his son in the eye and essentially admit that he's cheated on his wife means he has no shame about it. Because to be able to tell your son, I've cheated on your mother...
That's how he reacts.
Yeah, and I think, like, Jack obviously is not happy about that.
No.
And, like, Jack, very clearly, I think the thing with the pregnancy scare is very significant to me.
Yeah.
Because obviously what it is for Sarah, it's when she knows that she has to leave Jack. Like, if you're having an affair and then you think you might be pregnant, it's like, well, she might be pregnant with the other guy's baby. If we assume that it's a man.
We're assuming it's a man.
And so it's like, at that point, she would be forced to come clean, you know?
Right.
So it's like, obviously at that moment, she's evaluated the relationship. And when he comes home and she's like laying in bed with her eyes open, to me, what that says is like, she's evaluated the relationship and she's gone, she knows she has to leave. Whether she's going to stay with that guy or not, I think she knows at that point that the relationship is over. Whereas for Jack, it's like, he realises that they've lost this connection because she didn't tell him until after she knew it was negative and all of that. But also I think the idea of Jack becoming a father kind of draws into clarity the comparisons between him and his own dad.
Yeah.
Where he's then like, I can't become like him. And then in Kissing Gabriella, it's like a confrontation of like, at least from his perspective, like I think he's coming out of that interaction being like, I've turned into my father.
I see what you mean. Like even the possible hint of like children, and he's already like, you know, disrupting the family dynamic.
He's already going off with his patients, and he's
Yeah.
already like working long hours and never coming home, and like never seeing and even like, and we can see as viewers that of course he's very different to his dad, of course, and like, you know, he's not anything like, you know, Christian. He doesn't treat Sarah with that much disrespect that Christian treats everyone in his life, you know.
Apart from Sawyer, for some reason.
Apart from Sawyer,
They seem to be
we're
bros.
not so different, you and I. Yeah, and like, or I think it's very significant to Jack's character that he immediately tells Sarah, and he takes complete like responsibility for that, and he's like, I'm so sorry, this is completely my fault.
It's my mistake.
And it's all because of, like, it's my fault that this relationship is falling apart. I've been working too much, I've not been present for you. I'm gonna make a change. And he says, like, he's gonna work less and he's gonna be there, and like that is,
Christian would never.
Christian would never.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He would never do that. He would pass the blame on, he would deflect, and he would act like it wasn't a big deal. And like, Jack really understands the gravity of what happened. And so I think then it hits him all the more horribly to then find out that actually Sarah's the one who's been having the affair behind his back. And like, actually it's suddenly like, well, she's the Christian shepherd of the situation. Obviously she's not, you know, as bad as he is. But I think like Jack is in such like fear of being like his father, and like that he, and how terrible all of that is, that then like Claire being like, Claire Dunphy. Sarah being like, I've been seeing someone else.
Yeah.
Immediately completely upends everything for him.
Yeah, but why do you think she was seeing someone else? Because Jack was working all the time and their relationship was falling apart.
But
Like,
also
it's
because I
his
think
fault.
their relationship should never have happened in the first place.
No, but whose fault was that? Jack, because he felt like he had to marry her.
Yes, but also I think Sarah really pushed the idea of like, you saved me, it happened for a reason, you were a miracle.
Maybe.
I think there is fault on both ends from it. I do not think it's completely Jack's fault the relationship fell apart.
Yeah. But in a way, it's kind of nice that the TV show itself gives us this narrative, because I think in a lot of, like, you know, if it was like a superhero movie, for example, it would be like, you know, superhero miraculously saves the girl, they get married and they live happily ever after.
Yeah,
and it's
and
sort
that's
of going,
not the
this is the
case.
real world, and you can't build a marriage on that.
Yeah, you can't hinge a marriage on like, I did surgery on you. That's like not...
Yeah.
It's never going to work, and I think their relationship truly was doomed from the start.
Yeah.
Because of everything in Jack's history, and also just the way they've both kind of behaved to each other. They never seem to like each other really at all.
There's that scene where they play the piano together.
They played the piano one time.
Aww.
But like, even the wedding episode is so all about Jack's dad, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously that's a whole thing that we discussed when we watched it. But like, I think it's really interesting to see this level of this element of the decline of their relationship, you know? And how it's like had an influence on Jack. And I think it's definitely very significant to me that after this episode is when he then gets his dad fired. Because I think at that point in time, he's going, I'm not going to become him.
That's a
And
really
so he's
good
like,
point.
I need to stop him from inflicting the way he is on other people. I think he kind of understands in that, like in this episode, in the course of this episode, how his dad has influenced him and his life. And then he kind of starts to realize the effect it's had on like all the other people kind of around him. Doesn't we see Christian like flirting with a nurse at one point, don't we?
Do we?
I'm sure we do.
I don't remember.
Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe
But
I'm
also,
making that up completely.
don't forget that when Jack gets his dad fired, it's all because the woman was pregnant as well.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Lost writers give women a pregnancy scare. Yes, Sarah has now been added to the list of pregnancy/pregnancy scares on the show. More to come.
More to come.
Many more
and it
to
is
come.
a shame. It is a real shame that is such a big thing. But I think in this sense, it kind of works.
I do think it does. And I think
In
you're
this
right.
moment.
It reveals a lot to both of them about the state of their relationship. Because not only could they not practically take care of a baby, because they seem to both have very demanding jobs and like they're ships in the night, aren't they? You know, in that
they
scene.
barely see each other.
They barely see each other. She's a teacher apparently, which we got in this episode, which
She's
is
a teacher
fun.
we discovered. She said I got really distracted by the pipe bomb. She said she had papers
They
to grade.
smell great, don't they? I actually really like
I do not like the smell.
It's like a kind of burnt hair.
That's something you're familiar with, is it?
No comment.
She said she had papers to grade, and also she gets up really early in the morning. She gets up at like 5 a.m. to go gym.
Who's doing that?
Horrible behaviour. I'd divorce her too. No, I'm joking.
But I think I didn't necessarily connect the dots of, oh, it could be the other man's baby.
Really? Because that was like my first thought.
No, I was thinking more of it being like, when she says like, don't worry, it's negative, is because she sort of realises she doesn't want to have a family with Jack.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, well, like that then spirals to her being like, I can't do this marriage, essentially.
And I think the thing about like affairs in general, but also in media,
about affairs,
the thing about cheating on your wife is it's like when you're having an affair, it's like, I say that as if I've done it, but I think
when you're
it's
having
like
an affair, these are the steps you need to follow.
Sarah, obviously for her, the pregnancy scare was that point where she realised she couldn't just keep doing both things, and the choice she made was to leave Jack. I do like that he did the dishes also.
We need to talk about that, because as soon as he said that line, we both started writing furiously. So he gets in from that, which I think is a really good scene, by the way. I really like the way that it's sort of shot, and I think they're both really acting very well. Lots of tears going
also,
on.
That shirt, I have to say, is a great colour.
Jack looks great.
He looks
She,
great.
on the other hand, looks awful. Why the hell did they put her in that awful blue sweater vest?
Yeah, she's dressed like Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh my
and
god.
that's an insult.
I wrote down, what an outfit to get divorced in. Oh, criminal.
Do you think when Jack started going on his like big speech about like saving the relationship, she was like, I'm not dressed for this conversation. I guess it's a bit of a teachery outfit, to be fair.
I guess it is, that's true. But he comes in and he helps with the dishes, and she goes, oh, you don't have to. And he says, it's therapeutic, it's cheaper than a shrink. Now, much to discuss.
Much to discuss. Just like Desmond, in their house, the
Well,
dishes
no,
would be
this
clean.
is what I was going to talk about. It's a parallel to the hat.
It is. No, I
right?
do think it is.
Imagine, I can just see him right now. It's like that scene in Ghost, right? Desmond's washing the dishes and Jack comes around the back to help.
Of all the things I thought you were going to say. It's like the scene in Ghost.
It's like the scene in Ghost. What's the song that's playing? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's Michael Giacchino on the violin in the background.
But I do think it's kind of a parallel.
Well,
Low key.
I think it's mainly because we have focused abnormally on the washing of the dishes.
Yeah.
So it probably isn't, but
also,
it is to me.
like, it reminds me of, like, you know, I don't remember any of their names, but there was this couple in Married at First Sight Australia.
Don't talk to me. Already shut up.
Who, no, but this
Don't
is really
talk to me
funny.
about Married at First Sight.
Is the wife was like, I want, like a real go-getter man, like I want a man who's going to take charge of the relationship and like be a provider. And her husband, right, washed the dishes and put them away, and she like came into the kitchen and saw that it was clean, and she was like, I've got the ick. She was like, he's not an alpha male if he does dishes.
Oh my god.
Genuinely. And
there are people in 2025 who have that opinion.
yeah.
That's
completely
so
seriously, she
scary.
was like, I don't want a man who's going to clean up. That's a woman's job.
Oh my god.
And
That's
she, like,
terrifying.
She, like, brought this to have a woman have that opinion as well.
Yeah.
Not for the man, like, for him to be like, I'm not going to do this, it's something I would be less surprised by.
Yeah.
But for her to be like, he shouldn't do that, that's, like, emasculating.
Oh my god.
And she, like, brought this to the other wives, and all the other wives were like, what the fuck are you talking about? They were like, I would love it if my husband did the dishes.
Yeah. Not only from, like, you know, a gender perspective, a societal perspective, a progression perspective, from everything from, like, you know, gender equality, you know, and the world that we're also moving towards, but also just so that you don't have to do chores every day.
Also, I just hate doing the dishes.
Yeah, look, nobody enjoys doing the dishes, right? If you've got someone who can do it, then they do it.
Yeah.
It's like
So-
our dad. Our dad does the dishes at home, and he loves it. Well, maybe he doesn't love it, but he never complains about having to do them. He always just does them. And I'm like, you need one person in the household who's just like, doesn't care.
So I saw actually another, not to bring up Tumblr again, but like a Tumblr post that's like, actually the ideal house setup is 3 people. One who will do dishes with no complaint, one that will like cook all the meals with no complaint, and one that will do all the laundry and put the clothes away with no complaint. And then it was like, which one would you rather do if you had to pick only one of those chores to do forever?
Ooh, definitely laundry.
See, I feel like I'd pick dishes. I would not pick cooking.
No, I hate cooking.
Neither of us are good cooks and neither of us enjoy cooking.
No. Well, there are certain meals that I do enjoy cooking. Occasionally, if I can get into the right mood, then I'll, you know, it's usually like when I was at uni and I'd had a couple glasses of wine and me and my friends were cooking together.
No, I hate cooking with other people in the room.
No, yeah, actually I do hate cooking with other people.
If someone is like sitting far away on the other end of the kitchen table and just engaging me in conversation, that's fine. But don't try and be around me while I'm cooking.
No, actually, I've changed my mind. No, I know what would happen. What would happen is I'd sit in the kitchen and have a few glasses of wine. My friends would cook and then go, Ariel, can you chop this? Can you? And I'd be like, sure.
I don't mind that. Like,
That's
if someone
my
else
ideal.
Is like, if someone else
Give
is
me
like, come
instructions.
and stir this for me.
Yes. And I can do them. I'm like a sim, all right? Just give me an instruction and I'll do it. But like my default, you know, unassigned thing is just sipping a glass of wine. That's that's me in the kitchen.
Anyway, so Jack desperately needs a therapist.
Yes. So I don't think the dishes parallel is nothing, but I think it probably is nothing. But also, I'm like, Desmond, dishes. Desmond is
also
truly
the miracle thing is intrinsically linked to Jack and Sarah's relationship. Desmond is kind of...
He's the third in their marriage.
Yeah, essentially. He's like, because they were never...
She's having an affair with Desmond.
Is he not on the island by this point?
Shush.
She's going to the island.
She's going to the island.
Baby
every
comes out
weekend.
Scottish and she's like, Jack, I have something to tell you.
I love the idea that the baby would have the accent.
The baby is born
intrinsically.
Scottish. And she's like, Jack, I'm seeing... And he's like, you're not going to believe this is the guy called Desmond.
The baby's first word is brother.
Can you imagine him being like, is it Desmond?
Fuck me, is it?
I'm
is
having
it
an
that
affair.
Desmond
Oh my god,
guy?
is it Desmond?
And she's like, are you having an affair with Desmond? Yes! And he's
You're like, well, that's could have saved us a whole mess, couldn't it? We'll just invite him over for dinner.
he's like, he shows up at the door and he's like, I'm so proud of you. It's like, this was your plan all along?
Yeah,
Anyway.
so, but I think actually, like, that, like, Cheaper Than a Shrink, obviously it's a funny joke because it's like, Jack obviously needs a therapist.
Obviously.
But I think that kind of thing is something that people like doctors need to have in their lives of, like, you know...
What, a therapist?
Well, a therapist, but also, like, therapeutic things in their daily life. Like, they have to go through a lot more, like, not therapists, doctors and police officers and, like, like, they have to go through a lot more, you know, hardship emotionally than the average person does.
I mean, the way that scene starts is essentially Sarah going, how was work today? And Jack going, a man died.
Yeah.
And that's just his job.
That's just his job. And that is just, like, the nature of being a surgeon. And so, like, he does need those features. Like, I would say, arguably, like, he's dealing with the doctor thing. of all the things in his life he needs therapy about, people dying on the operating table is kind of quite low down the list of priorities.
Did you not see that whole scene where he's smashing the lockers? Like, I could have done it, I could have fixed it.
Yeah, but also, like, the first thing you need to tackle is the dad thing.
Well, yeah, but I think, you know, the anger issues fueled by the job is definitely on there.
Yeah, but, like, projected onto him by his father and
Yeah,
his
it all
marriage.
boils down to Christian. I'm not disputing that, but I'm not saying that his job doesn't get to him psychologically.
It doesn't not get to him psychologically. I would just say that, like, if, like, I think, you know, if he'd got a job at a different hospital, he'd be dealing with it a bit better, you know.
Poor Sans dad.
And you know, as we know, there's only one hospital in LA. But
There's
like,
only one
if they
hospital
built
in
a
LA.
second hospital in LA, then maybe he would have been all right. Because Christian would have been at his workplace every day. I mean, can you imagine, like, you hate your father more than anything, and it's like you have to spend every day with him for your entire childhood, and then you move out, and then you get a job, and then he's there at your job every day, and he's your boss?
Yeah, the worst.
I'd be punching lockers too, honestly.
I quite like that flashback scene. I think that it's a good transition into it. I wrote that down. I can't remember what it was. I think he was maybe running through the jungle.
It was like
trying to
after
find
they heard all the
Michael.
gunshots, I think.
Yeah. And then it transitioned. I think he was running, and then it transitioned, and it was him hitting the locker.
Yeah, it
And I
was
quite
good.
liked that. But what I want to talk about
Okay.
is the numbers.
Oh, okay.
You're talking bit the numbers. So they came up a couple times in this episode. So when John had been knocked out, he said, "How long was I out for?" And Jack said 20 minutes. And then he said, "We're on shift for the next 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to come," which I think I found that interesting as well, because not only is that kind of a cute little setup for a scene to be like, well, we're locked in the armory and no one's going to come get us. I would kind of like them to have been locked in there a bit longer, actually, and to see a bit more
I think
of a,
it would
like,
have been really interesting if they'd ended up trapped in there for quite a long time.
yeah, the dynamic between the two of them. I mean, imagine if they'd spent the whole episode in there and it had just been like, you know, what those two talk about when they're locked in a room together.
I was a bit like, they were barely stuck in there. It was like,
Yeah.
well, let's have to hope Sawyer needs to get his bandage changed next scene. Sawyer, you need to get your bandage changed.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, the episode's running long, we're going to have to bring up Sawyer's name thing. Why don't you just leave them in the armory for a
Yeah.
bit longer?
No, very true. I think that's not the style of the show, is it, though? Is like, it's all got to be go, go, go. Do you know what I mean? You can't just
It would have
sit
been
around
better
for a
to
bit.
have a little scene with
But
them.
like, I'm thinking of the episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine when it's just Jake and Holt, and they're interrogating the dentist guy.
Yeah, and it's just the two of them for like the whole... Yeah, something like that would have been really interesting.
Wouldn't
But
it?
it's just like not really...
But I guess, you know, Brooklyn Nine-Nine has the advantage of being a sitcom where, like, kind of the whole point of a sitcom is you don't advance the plot, really. Everything kind of has to be this end where it started, you know, the same, so that it sets up for next week. Whereas Lost is very much, we need to get the narrative moving, we know.
Yeah.
So that's by the by. But I did like kind of when John was like, we better hope that someone comes down. It's kind of ambiguous as to whether it's like to let us out or to push the button. Some interesting numbers that are not the numbers, but we got the combination lock to the armory. So he reads it out to Sawyer, and it's 25, 29, 40. Which feels annoyingly close to the numbers, like 25,
Yeah.
40.
It's like, come on, man.
What are you? Don't piss me off. And we also had Sun saying, being told what to do was 4 years of my life. Now, I'm just mentioning that in passing because we need to talk about Jin and Sun at length. But just whilst I'm on the numbers that came up in this episode, I'm just going to mention it in passing. The one that I really want to talk about is in that scene where Jack is smashing the lockers. Christian says he was on the operating table for 7.5 hours, and his heart gave out. Like, Jack got rid of all the cancer and the tumour and everything, but his heart
he just
failed, and he was an old man, and that's kind of why he died. And that in itself is interesting, but I'm like, 7.5 hours?
If it had been 8 hours.
Why is it not 8?
If it had been 8 hours, he would have survived.
He would have survived. Maybe.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's supposed to be like, yeah, it's not 8 because it's not a miracle. The miraculous
Yeah.
stuff is related to the island, maybe.
Yeah. And maybe it's because if Jack, you know, if his marriage hadn't ended, he would never
would
have
never
gotten his
have-
dad fired, which meant his dad would never have gone to Australia, which meant
yeah.
he never would have ended up on the island.
Yeah. But then are the numbers bringing people to the island?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they heavily indirectly brought her to the island.
Yeah. So it's like, and they directly brought Rousseau to the island.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and we know that they come up in everyone else's backstory.
do the numbers kind of shape people's lives, getting them on the path to get to the island? I think so, on some level.
I think so.
So it's interesting that it's close to one of the numbers here, but it's not. I don't know. It felt like
it's
they
a very good
wouldn't
point. It's very
made
interesting.
It 7.5 hours if we weren't supposed to notice that it was 7.5 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Because also, like, in my memory, it was longer than that.
I mean, that's a hell of a long time to be in surgery, to be fair.
Because there's a different one, I think.
That's a full day's work for Jack. Do you know what I mean? Just operating on one guy.
Yeah, I think there was a previous one, or maybe it's one that's not happening. I don't remember. I just remember there's one surgery they talk about that was like 11 hours or something, and I was like, Jesus Christ. You know?
Yeah. Oh, also, he works until 4 a.m, doesn't he?
4:30.
Ah, fuck's sake. Take that half an hour. Add it to the 7.5. 8.
So I think we can probably segue away from
Segue
from the central plot line. But I have a couple more things to point out about it. First of all, Mr. Clean.
You enjoyed that one?
I don't like Sawyer, but I thought that was very good work from him. That just made me giggle. Because he very much looks like Mr. Clean.
I did like when John said, "Why did you pick that name?" And he goes, "Isn't it obvious? All you need is an earring."
Also the water bottle throwing shot.
Yes. I wrote that down too, because I was like, how long did it take them to get that right?
'Cause
I'm obsessed, I need to know.
Remember that so vividly, because I was thinking as soon as we get to the blooper reel, we're going to and it's going to be loads of that shot, but actually, no.
They're just too good. They just nailed it on the first try. Unless they did a bunch of rehearsals whilst they were trying to set up the camera or something.
Maybe.
But we know that Terry O'Quinn, like, there's a
He
behind
actually
the
throws
scenes.
all those knives.
Yeah, he actually does know how to throw knives, or he learned how to throw knives for the role, I think. So maybe he's just got really good aim
Yeah.
at throwing stuff. But I did like that it was punctuating Jack going, "Do you think Michael's lost?" And then it was like,
Yeah.
come on, we all know.
That was very fun.
We're all paying attention at this point to whenever you say the word lost, okay? We're aware.
And the other thing I wanted to say about this central plot line is about Michael. Because actually, I've located evidence to completely back up my argument that John would never go after him. Via my own notes about earlier in the episode.
I have located my evidence. The listeners can't see, but Velvet's just put his hands behind his back. I have located the evidence.
I have located evidence. Where right at the beginning, underneath I've written Jack says, "John, you're a fucking dumbass," and I don't remember what that was in reference to. But before
Saying that.
Michael, when John kind of comes to in the thing, Jack's like, "We got to go after him," and then I remember what it's about. But John says he has to do it alone.
Okay. Michael has to go after Walt alone.
Yeah, because Jack was like, I tried to get him to, I tried to go with him, and John was like, no, he has to do it alone. No, the John, you're a fucking dumbass was about bolting the vent shut.
Yeah.
He's like, well, wasn't that a good idea?
That was a good idea, John. Well done. Also, the idea that someone would be so determined to get a gun that they would... How would they even get into... They would crawl
Kate
through
got
the vents.
in, didn't she? Through the pantry.
Kate would do that
She
to get
would.
a gun, actually.
Probably
wouldn't she?
immediately after he found out she went to the vents, he was like, bolting that shut.
Actually, we need to nip this in the bud. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Yes, he does need to do it alone, but maybe that backs up my argument that John is actually going with them to kind of stop Jack and Sawyer in a way.
I suppose.
To let Michael go on his destiny, you know. I think he is worried about Michael, you know, and he wants to make sure he's safe. But ultimately, I think he's trying to convince or talk Jack and Sawyer down from doing something rash.
Which I think is fair, and he does kind of need to be there for that. But, like, also he could have stayed with the button. At one point, Sawyer said it's getting dark and it was bright sunlight. That made me laugh. Also, he never got his bandage changed.
Come on, you need to get your bandage changed. Didn't.
It just went straight out.
Yeah. I like the bit where she throws a banana at him, and he goes, "You just throw a banana at me?" She goes, "Couldn't find any rocks."
Couldn't find a rock.
I do, as much as I'm not really on board with Kate and Sawyer as a ship, when she's flirting with him, it is quite funny.
They do have some funny
It's
moments.
when he's flirting with her that it's all creepy and
Like-
weird. Like when he's like, "There's a nicer way to wake a man up." Shut up.
Yeah.
Be quiet. Shut your mouth. Okay?
But did you throw a banana at me? Did make me laugh. Also, I will admit, Sawyer did make me giggle quite a bit in this episode when he was like, "Oh yeah, there's my favourite leaf. How could I forget this place?" Also, when John asks him what side was the ocean on, he like holds his hands up for ages and is like,
It's like, you gotta remember
this way.
that Sawyer was delirious.
Yeah, I'm like, you cannot expect Sawyer to know anything about where they were brought, you know?
Yeah. Completely.
He was literally passed out on the floor.
Yeah.
And Lucy was like, "Leave him behind."
Yeah.
Still think that's hilarious behaviour. So yeah.
So, time to talk about Jin and Sun, please.
Oh, the last thing was, "You're exactly right, Jack."
Oh,
Being
yes.
Beardy's entrance line.
That was great. You're exactly right, Jack. Just that booming voice coming out of the darkness. He was lit in a really shadowy way as well.
And
which
like
was
addressing
very
him
cool.
by name also.
Ugh. And he knows John and Sawyer's names as well, even though they've all had, like, you know.
And he calls him Mr. Locke, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he does.
Which is like, Walt. Has Walt told him Mr. Locke's gonna come for
didn't
him?
even think about that. Did maybe Walt told him that he opened the hatch because of "Don't open it.
Mr. Locke opened the hatch.
Don't open it. Don't open
Don't
that
open that
thing."
thing. Okay, now we can talk about Jin and Sun.
Yay!
So, oh my god.
I love them. I love them so much.
So, some really interesting things with their dynamic this episode.
I really like this plotline because it is complex.
Yeah.
And also centralized on just them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot
There's
of
no involvement of other people, really.
A lot of the other plot lines that we get when we get a B plot for an episode, it's this character interacting with this character and this character over something, but it's just about them and about their marriage in an episode that's not their centric episode, which I think is rare in this show. And I think so crucial to have this plotline in this episode because it parallels really nicely with Jack and Sarah and Gabriella in the flashback.
Absolutely. And I also think in terms of like the turbulent relationships and marriages, but also in the sense of the love triangles, because I know they never really went there with Michael, but they sort of almost did with Sud and Michael in the beginning. And then, like, obviously we're all like, well, Michael and Jin are now. But it's like, not even if you forget about, like, romantically, like, they are now friends. And I think that adds a layer to their dynamic in the relationship. Like, because I think, like, obviously there's so much to talk about, but, like, Sun's face when Jin says Michael's my friend, I do think is a bit like, she's like, oh, you know, you do consider him your friend.
Jin is much more interested in being involved with the survivors now. Because, like, literally in that first scene, he's like, I think something's happening.
Yeah.
Ask Hurley what's going on.
He's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Ask them, and he's just like, is everything okay?
Yeah. Series 1, Jin could never.
It's really indicative of Jin's
His
character
growth.
development, this one. I just smacked my mic, sorry if that made a noise. But, like, really, really nicely, I think, in that it's not, like, a big thing. It's not the main plot of the episode. It's just, like, these little, like, moments that mean so much. First of all, Hurley immediately...
telling everything that happens.
Is everything okay? Michael's run away.
Michael's run away. And they're all going after him. Anyway, see you later. I gotta go to the button.
Anyway, I gotta
Nice
go
hat.
hatch. Jin's little hat.
Is that the same hat that Claire wore?
I hope so.
I think it is, you know.
So cute.
I'm really obsessed with finding connections between Jin and Claire because I think they're two of my favourite characters, and like the very
Barely
small
interact.
moments when they do interact are great. So I'm like, Jin and Claire.
The little hat
Besties
is
for life.
so cute.
Yeah, so really interesting when Hurley says Walt, Jin like turns. Obviously he
Yeah.
recognises Walt. And he, you know, is very invested in what's happening to Walt.
And because, like, actually, I said when we were watching the episode this morning, I was like, why does Sawyer go? Why does Sawyer give a shit? And then Ariel very obviously pointed out he was there when Walt got
when
kidnapped.
Walt was taken. He, in fact, he got a bullet in the shoulder because he was
Yeah.
trying to save him.
I was like, I'm still kind of in the mindset of, like, Sawyer doesn't give a shit about anyone. I kind of forgot that
Yeah.
he does actually care
No,
about
he does
getting
care
Walt back.
about Walt. And I think Jin definitely does too. And so it makes total sense that he's like, I'm going to go help. Much like Kate, you know?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
like running off to go and help. But really, really interesting that Sun is now in a position in their relationship where she's able to say, no, I need you here.
Yeah.
Not only is she able to sort of stand up to him a bit more, but also she missed him when he was on the
Yeah.
raft. And she was like, I didn't know if you were alive or dead. It was awful. And it's like, you know, a few months ago, not even that, she would have left him and not known anything about him, not had
cared.
any contact with
Yeah.
him at all and not cared.
And, like, I do think that changes Jin's mindset, definitely, where it's like, she, you know, she really missed him.
Yeah, the fact that he then puts the bag down after he goes, Michael's my friend, and she goes, I'm your wife. And then he puts the bag down. Really interesting and shows their kind of like marriage and the development of their marriage in a really interesting way.
And then an amazing scene right at the end. I just wrote down get his ass. But like I think it's really well done in like it does seem like what I really like about the plotline of Jin and Sun's relationship over the course of the whole series is that it really gives both of them sorry, I got ahead of myself again. Both of them the emotional space to like kind of get through what they need to get through in order to be in a relationship with each other again, you know? Because I think like when Jin says like I don't like being told what to do, it's like it seems like it comes out a little bit of that old Jin of being like I'm in charge, but also you think about like how long has like Sun's dad been telling him what to do, you know? How long has he been under the control of other people? We looked at like his boss at the hotel who was like shitting on him massively, and it's like all of his life in order to be employed he's had to be like yes, I'll do whatever you tell me. And then obviously that has repressed all this desire for control that he's then taken out on his personal life because that's where he could have some power, which has then been a detriment to his like relationship. And I think obviously when Sun was like being told what to do with my life for 4 years, I was like, yeah, get his ass. But I think also like you look at it from the other side and you're like, yeah, you know, you can really understand both sides. And I think that's a really good indicator that it's a really well-written storyline, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way that you've said that just then makes me kind of think, is it possible to view him saying, I don't like being told what to do, as a moment of vulnerability, actually, rather than a moment of him, like the old Jin trying to be controlling and manipulative of his wife? It could definitely be viewed as that, I think. And I'm not trying to say we shouldn't think of him as a manipulator, because he totally was at the very least, and still is in some respects. But I think the kind of the way that you were talking about it in him being told what to do in his career and his whole life and everything like that, him saying like I don't like that is in some ways emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think
weirdly
it's a thing as well of like, it's a bit of a male thing, but also obviously indicative of the culture he's grown up with in his personal life of like, rather than having that emotional vulnerability, what he defaults to is being angry.
Yeah.
You know?
And controlling and violent.
And controlling, because that's what he knows he can do to get what he wants, you know?
Yeah.
And it's only when Son flips it back on him that he realises he's doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
Once again, like Jack, fear of becoming his father, he's turning into the person, like the
Mr.
man he
Pack,
feared.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're totally right. I was gonna say something and then I lost it. Fuck. I like how Jin's character development is not a one-way street.
It's very much not linear.
It's not linear. Like, it takes time. That's what I was going to say. It takes time for him to unlearn those behaviours. The behaviours of being angry and controlling and violent.
Yeah.
Because it has been, his job has affected him so much. It's taking him a long time to unlearn that default.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think there are moments where it's not navigated particularly well in the writing.
In the writing, yes. But I think this is not one of them. I actually think this is a really good scene. And it's so important for Son to be like, yeah, that was my life for 4 years. You did that to me.
And for him to hear that he's done that to her is really...
Not that he doesn't realise what he's done. He does. But it's like, it's taking him time to realise what he's done and the extent to what he's done.
And I think, like, when he says, I don't like being told what to do, it very much can be read as, like, I'm in charge in this relationship, don't tell me what to do. But I really don't think, that's the place that it's coming from in his head. Mm-hmm. And I think it's only when she says that was her life for, like, years that he realises that that's how it's come across, Even if it was, her saying that completely changes it for him, because he goes, right, I can't imagine you did enjoy that. And then he gives her a little hug. Because he's like,
and I think that's beautiful.
He's like, I didn't enjoy it, so neither did you.
Empathy.
Anyway, an empath. He's an empath.
He's an empath. Jin learns to become an empath. And also very pertinent as well when you think about John's catchphrase being, don't tell me what I can't do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
what John said that earlier, didn't he?
Well. He said, like, who are we to tell people what they can and can't do?
Tell anyone what they can't do. Where are you going, Jack?
I love how all three of them are like, what are you really out here for? It's like, does anyone care about Michael?
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own narrative.
What are you really doing here? I'm getting Walt back. What are you guys doing here? But yeah,
really, really interesting when you get in the flashbacks, like a marriage breaking down, and on the island, it's like a marriage that could have broken but is being rebuilt.
Yeah, and I think it's like, if you look at the things that Jack says about the relationship, it's like, he says, like, I've been working too much, I've not been here for you, we've not been seeing each other. That's what was happening in Jin and Sun's life, and he says, I'm going to fix it, I'm going to be here, be around more, Mm-hmm. Now they're spending time together, Jin and Sun are reconnecting, and they're becoming, going back to that relationship they had before.
Mm-hmm. So maybe Sarah should have crashed with them.
Oh God, can you imagine? That would be crazy. So we have one final thing, I think, to talk about. And that is Hurley and Charlie's girly sleepover.
Yeah. Weird scene.
Completely insane scene. So, first things first, Geronimo Jackson is not a real band.
You looked them up, did you?
I've Googled them, and it popped up with Lostpedia.
That could just be your algorithm, though.
No, I looked on every single, link that came up. Geronimo Jackson is a
starring
1970s
Gary
band.
Troop.
Little is known about the group, but references to the band have been made on Lost starting in season 2. The only named member of the band, Keith Strutter, as well as several other band members, have, quote, kind of gone missing, unquote, according to Damon Lindelof.
Oh, what? He's just dropping lore randomly.
They've got a page on the fake bands Wikipedia. So they're definitely not
Drive
real.
shaft on there.
There's a theories thing that has like a picture of the Dharma logo on the Lostpedia, and they've got this one. The record was called Magna Carta, and it's this picture of them.
I mean, Latin in the show.
Also, the Magna Carta was about taking the power away from the king, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which,
this is our island.
yeah.
And they're going to build an army to take down the guy who's in charge of the others. Could that mean something?
You know that, like, which could mean nothing. Lost is, like, which could mean something.
Obviously, Kate asked Hurley, go do the button, because I'm going to go off after Jack and Sawyer. And he just does, like, Charlie, come hang out with me.
Yeah.
And they're just having fun, and I just think it's so funny. So what do you think of Libby? Do you think I have a chance with her?
I do like the kind of desert island scenario. It's back to genre where Hurley. Do you know what I mean?
If I ever had a chance, it's now.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Which
and
I
also like that, then do you think Claire's missed me yet? Dude, it's been a day. But also like it kind of feels like a callback to when Michael and Charlie it's like, have you seen Claire's bags? Where's Claire's bags? you see my son? You seen her bags?
This is the thing. I'm just like, look, I like Charlie, but he's so annoying.
He's such a nightmare.
And he is just not a good friend to Hurley.
No, he
like
isn't,
so
to be
much of the
fair.
time, I think we always think, oh, they're like bros, they're the comedy characters, they're having a great time. But actually, I don't think he is a good friend to Hurley. Like
No,
a
not
lot
really.
of the time. And, like, he should have been like, yeah, man, go for it. You got this.
Yeah.
That's all it needed. Just a few words of encouragement.
He just doesn't entertain like
Because he's an
what Hurley's talking.
egotist. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
He only cares. He's a narcissistic rock star. Do you know what I mean?
He wants to talk about his own things.
Yeah. We're gearing up, lads, to Charlie's worst moments in the whole show, and possibly the worst episode in the whole thing as well. Like, it's just so bad. And this scene is in somewhat way setting that up, and I just need you to be prepared.
But then we have maybe Saeed's funniest moment, potentially in the whole show.
Yeah, because he's not
Walking
really
in.
involved in the comedy plot lines
No.
at all, but he is definitely meant to be comedic in this instance.
Walking in, right, they're like, hey Saeed, what's up? This music is quite
This
depressing.
music is quite depressing.
And he's like, do you want to put on Geronimo Jackson? And he's just like,
I don't know who that is. Where's everybody? Where are all the A-plot characters?
where are all the main characters? I want to talk to you guys. It was just so funny. And it's the way he just walks in on them gossiping and it's just like,
Literally A poses.
so funny.
This music is quite depressing.
This music is good. Because also it's like, it's not that bad.
No, but he's just buried Shannon, hasn't he?
I
So
mean, he has.
he's a bit depressed at the minute.
He's got reason to be depressed. Very much so. But it's such a funny scene. Because also it's like, at that point in time, that comes like in between like the guy with the beard pulling "You're exactly right, Jack" and walking towards them, and the rest of that scene, you know, where you get like the house monologue on "What's a Special Kid" and like the line. In between that, you have Charlie and Hurley having a gossip session, and it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
we don't have time for this.
Yeah.
So funny. I get the feeling that was like after an ad break or something.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, you're exactly right, Jack, and then like an ad break, and then it came back, and you're like, I'm gonna find out, and then it's like, who's Geronimo Jackson? Right at the end, John has a very cute little moment with Claire and Aaron as well. That's nice. But I'm like, John got on my nerves quite a lot this episode, but then he comes back and he's like, hello, baby, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
But then
He's
you've got Charlie staring him down.
He's just a cute little grandpa, you know? He's a cute little crazy grandpa.
Do you know what that reminded me of, though? Boone's death stare at Saeed and Shannon, you know?
Yeah. This is why Boone and Charlie would have made great besties, because they're both completely insane.
It would have been like, you know, me to the person who's not handling it well at all. You're handling it perfectly. Yeah.
Him being like, no, that's a completely reasonable thing to get upset about.
Yeah.
Like, they would have a great gossip session where they're just give a horrible echo chamber of him being like, no, absolutely, I don't think Saeed should go anywhere near Shannon. You're completely in the right for that. And then Boone is like, yeah, and like, you should keep Claire away from everyone else because, you know, she's your girl.
Yeah.
Awful and terrible dynamic. It would have been
Awful,
so
the
funny.
worst. So obviously we're going to be having our little Christmas break now.
Yes.
Which is a really fun episode to end on because it's quite dramatic, you know, bring her out Alex and the line and everything like that. But it does unfortunately mean that we're going to come back in the new year with one of my least favourite episodes ever. I hate it so much. So we're going to come back. In January, the mood is going to be anger, okay? Mm-hmm. You just need to know that. You just need to be prepared. And also, like, I'm just warning you now for when you watch it. If you're watching along with us, if it's the first time you're seeing it.
The thing is, I'm determined this time around, on my third time watching Fire Plus Water, to find any sort of reasonable explanation for anything that happens in that episode.
We're gonna be detectives.
I'm determined. I'm gonna do everything in my power to, like, come up with any remotely reasonable explanation for the way that story goes. Yeah. Because it still, to this day, makes no sense to me.
It eludes me to this day.
And, like, genuinely, if any of you guys listening...
the case. It was a hard joint and a tough one to crack.
Just a little something to take the edge off. Like, genuinely, if any of you guys listening, like, enjoyed this episode or understand this episode or why things happened the way they did,
write in.
Please let me know, genuinely, because I'm like, I cannot fathom why any of the characters really behave the way they do in this episode.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. Not this episode.
But in Fire Plus Water.
As we say, you know, people are quite reasonable in this episode. I think, okay, so final thoughts on the hunting party. I mean, interesting title.
Yeah, I guess they're hunting Michael, which is weird. I really like this episode. I think it's one of those ones where it's like, the plot of the episode is very much relationship focused, like character dynamic, not so much like romantically wise, like character dynamic focused more than it is plot focused. Yeah. But I think actually in this episode it really works. You know, I don't think I would rank it above like in like a top episodes or anything like that. Yeah. But I do really enjoy it, and I think like often stuff like the love triangle really gets on my nerves, but I think it was actually done quite well in this episode. And I also think generally the way that Jack kind of behaves towards Kate, you have to be like, oh, okay, we'll take a step back, you know? But I think actually he is quite justified in this episode.
He's annoyed at her.
Being really pissed off at her, because I'm like, yeah, you know, she does owe you an explanation, actually, and an apology. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, all the other times he's like, no, you stay here, you know, you stay at the camp. I'm like, fuck off. Yeah. But, like, this time I'm like, actually, he just doesn't want to be around her. And I'm like, that's so fair. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, I don't know why, if it's like I mean, I'm thinking back to White Rabbit, you know, and that's kind of about a chase, isn't it? Hunt. And it's like, he says, I'm chasing something when he's like following the ghost of his dad around, and it's I guess there's a kind of
where
link
are you going, Jack?
There, yeah, between like Jack's physical journey
and his emotional journey and how those are interlinked.
And crucially, he's doing it kind of as the leader of the group. Yeah. Whereas in White Rabbit, he's like, I don't want to be the leader anymore. I got my own shit to deal with. Whereas now he's like, I am the leader. I'm taking charge. We're getting back Michael. We're doing it our way. Yeah. And then when he finally has the confrontation with the bearded guy, it's like...
It's almost like realising he's not equipped to lead.
Yeah, in a way.
In a sense. In a way. Like when he tries really hard to have the upper hand in that conversation, then he realises that he's completely lost and he just has to go back. Mm-hmm. Like that kind of is like, I can't be the leader, well you have to, and now he's like, I don't think I can be the leader, you know? Yeah. Or he's like, or going, if I'm going to be the leader, we need to prepare for this. Yes. We need to train. We need to build an army. Yes. And I think also, like, if John can teach Michael to shoot, he can teach everyone to shoot, you know? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's really interesting. It's a very interesting end to this episode, and I think it's a very interesting place to leave it. Yeah. For a few weeks. And yeah. So we hope you all have a lovely break, a lovely festive season. Yeah. We'll see you again in the new year, 2026. That's crazy. For Fire Plus Water and for the rest of Series 2. This is the thing. It's like Series 2 is so good. Because I was just thinking about it and I was like, this episode's decent. But in relation to the rest of Series 2... In the grand scheme of Series 2, it's nothing special. It's kind of a bit similar to me, to the vibe of Whatever the Case May Be. Yeah.
In that, like, it's kind of in the middle of the series, with a bit of a dip in energy, maybe, and it's like, it's a good episode kind of in isolation, but in the context of the series, it's going to go low on the ranking.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Maybe, this is kind of me thinking out loud here. But, like, the rest of this series is so good. We just have to get through Fire Plus Water. Okay, we just need to power through it, just muscle through,
and we'll do it.
And then we're back on the right track. I think there's one episode after that which is a bit
When's Dave?
Big
is all I'm gonna say. Big things coming,
and we're excited to share them with you in 2026.
In the meantime, you can follow us everywhere online, wherever you get your content.
Everywhere. We're all over the internet.
All over the internet. Check out the description of this video / Spotify
episode.
That's what I was going for. Check out the description of this episode for our socials. You can follow us on personal accounts. You can follow us on our podcast accounts. We'll be posting. We've had some bonus content that's been coming through. So we'll have some more of that, I think, over Christmas.
Things are going to be happening.
Okay,
big things happening.
We're going to miss you very much.
We
will
indeed.
See you again in the new year.
We will.
And to end, shall we do our final party
We've got
poppers?
one final party popper left. And I really wanted to yell divorce and then let it off, just because I'm like, we finally get the divorce reveal. Yay! But I feel like the moment's passed now. So we'll just do it as a celebration to end this part of the series of season 2 of Lost All Caps, to end our 2025 with the podcast. Okay, yes.
Go countdown.
3, 2, 1.